Welcome, listeners, to the Lust for Life podcast, where Jake and I share weekly experiences and reflections that we've had throughout the week. This week was, Labor Day to today, which is September 9th, 2024. It's been a really busy week. Lots going on. I'm just trucking along in my family nurse practitioning program, and Jake just finished an exam today, his neuro exam. Are you guys done with neuro now?
No, we just still have, I guess we're done with the brain stuff. We just have our ENT portion and like the eyeballs next.
So that sounds like you're done with neuro.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Okay. But last week Jake and I swam the full Ironman distance on Labor Day at the lake that I shared our experience of that in our last episode. And this week we did another big bike ride on Saturday, so a couple of days ago. And I guess you could say it was an emotional week for me. I don't know what it is, but it's like when bike maintenance, when you're just kind of already having a rough time and then your bike starts to have like mechanical problems, it just like really sets you off. So I had a little hard time with my bike. If you've listened to like a previous episodes, one of my housing wires and my like shifting causing my derailleur to prematurely shift, or it's just not right. And my shifting's kind of off and it just doesn't sound clean. And when we went out on Saturday with a friend, it just sounded terrible. And it like, I just couldn't ride on it. Like, I was like, this is like clearly doesn't sound good. It sounds really chattery. And so like 7 miles into the long ride, I turned around and came home and was like really, really sad. Because I didn't get to do the whole ride, and kind of just like took a nap and kind of tried to reset my brain. I was just feeling really like anxious because I'm learning about myself that if things that I really, really care about don't go right, it gives me a lot of anxiety. Instead of learning to just adapt quickly, it takes me a minute to like combust and then like really reflect on what's going on and how to adapt. But then later that night I hopped on the trainer and like kind of crazy, I did 112 miles on the trainer. So I was on the trainer for like 5.5 hours watching college football, which it actually wasn't that bad, but it was a long time on the trainer, but it was fun. I watched the UNC game. I think that's the first football game I have ever watched every second of. Like, even if we're in the stadium, I feel like I'm getting distracted or whatever sometimes. But I actually watched every second of that game because there was nothing else to look at on my bike trainer. So I was able to bounce back, and I learned a lot about myself. And I was just feeling really frustrated with my bike. And so I need to learn to adapt quicker to situations like that. But also, I was able to take action, and I took it into the Trek store, and they were really sweet and helped tune it up as well as it could be at the moment. Ultimately, I just need to replace this cable that's causing my problems. But we're trying to hold off on that as much as we can. But yeah, that was something I learned about myself. For things that I really care about, I get really anxious when things don't go right. And I need to learn to just open my mind and relax and just be more flexible and adapt a little bit quicker. Because I eventually do adapt. I just need to adapt a little quicker and not waste so much energy worrying about things not going the way I wanted them to. And then also just taking action in any way I can. Like, as soon as I took it into the Trek store, like after I laid down for a minute and just kind of like reset my mind, I felt a lot better because I was taking action to fix the problem. But I was really worried that like my bike was going to be stuck in the shop for like 2 weeks now, and I wasn't going to be able to ride it. And I was worried I had a snapped cable and wasn't going to be able to ride it. And we're kind of in peak Ironman training. So ultimately that was kind of the gist of the story, but it all turned out okay. And yeah. What's something that you kind of reflected on this week?
Well, I'm glad your bike got fixed. My friend and I, we did a 90-mile ride that day, and you were definitely missed on it. But one fun thing that we did this week, before I talk about like a personal reflection, is I got to sneeze real fast. Start telling them about Run Club and the swim we did Friday night.
Okay, yeah. Well, I guess I'll start. Well, Jake is sneezing right now. There are like fall allergies here, and they're kind of bananas. It's like not just spring. Like in Utah, you deal with the spring allergies, and they're horrible. But in the fall, they're also in the fall here, so it's twice a year. So you're like never. It's like 6 months of allergies. So, but I guess I can start talking about Run Club. We try to go to Run Club every week and just meet some new friends and people.
It's put on by like 2 girls in my medical school, and so it's like all the graduate and professional programs. That's who goes. So it's really fun to see people kind of just in a similar place as you in life.
Yeah, like similar place and kind of motivated and wanting to just be better and like get to know each other. Like it's just like a lot of friends you get to know and really cool people. But Run Club is really fun. We, I guess you could explain Run Club because now that you're done sneezing.
It's just a run club. So it's like a 3-mile slow pace, just a social run. So we do it for like our social fix. Like even in the morning before, I think, I ran 7 miles that morning. You ran 17.
Yeah.
And then just a 3-mile social run in the evening. But then after, there's a few of us who are also training for an Ironman, just different ones. Or a few of us who just like swimming and like being active. And so the next day, Friday, we didn't have school. And if anyone's listening, Run Club every Thursday at 6 at Wilson Park.
Chapel Hill.
But the next day, we decided let's go do like a sunrise mile swim. And so that was really fun. There was 7 of us. Lucy came, and 2 of them paddle boarded, so Lucy hopped on the paddle board. But then there were 5 of us swimming, and we all swam a mile at sunrise, and it was awesome. Like every time you looked to the left to breathe, you could just see the sun just slowly creeping up, and it was awesome. It was like actually one of the coolest swims we've ever done. So that was cool. But the main thing for me this week was I had a big test today, and as Tennessee mentioned earlier, and I was kind of nervous about this one. I thought it was hard. It was on like all these neurotumors, so like all these brain tumors, all these like neurological disorders, a lot of stuff that I thought was difficult. A lot of the drugs were difficult. You have to look at a bunch of like images, a bunch of slides, like microscope slides, and just by looking at it, tell what kind of tumor it is, which is actually really hard. And for me, and a lot of the meds and just everything else. So I was worried. I thought it was gonna be hard. So then like the other day or this weekend, after our swim on Friday and the rest of the day Friday and then Saturday, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a bunch of practice problems. And so I sat down, and I've always like had this mindset, but it just didn't like hit me like it hit me until this last weekend. But I just got like obliterated by the first set. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing awful.
On the practice problems?
Yeah, on the practice problems. And so then I just realized though, like what would be the point of doing practice problems if I was going to get 100%? Like, it would be like a little confidence builder, but like I would literally just be wasting time. If I already knew everything, what would kind of be the point of doing practice problems? I would just be wasting my time. So I looked at it at those not setbacks, the wrong questions, not as failures, but those are me kind of having my weaknesses exposed to be able to answer those questions on the test. And so I had to, humble myself and put myself in a position I want these practice problems to utterly destroy me and to expose me and to just chew me up and spit me right back out. The more I miss, the more I can learn in the practice problems, and the more info I can take away. And so I really focus hard on that, which I've always done. It just hit me different this time. Like mentally, I stepped up to the practice problems. Like when I pressed start, I was expecting, I was going to get my best, but I'm like, I'm here to learn right now. I'm not here to get 100% on these practice problems. I'm going to do my best, but I'm going to get slapped around, and it's going to be brutal. I'm going to miss a lot, but the more I miss, the more I get to learn. And sure enough, it worked out. It did very well on the exam, so everything was fine, but that was my main takeaway insight from the week.
I thought it was good, like, when you finished the exam today, like, your first response was, like, God helped me a lot with that one. Like,
He did.
Like, it was sweet that you acknowledged that. I liked that.
Yeah, I always say a prayer before every single test. I think I've said that on here before. For every single test since, undergrad started. Since the beginning of undergrad, I say a prayer for every single test. Even, when I had to take the MCAT, I said a prayer for every single section. And there were a few times today during the test where I had a thing submitted and was going to move on. And like, I was focused, like that question was behind me. And then God just like whispered to me, like, go back and check this. And I like went and I like found one or like 2 or 3 words in the question stem that made me change my whole answer. I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally would have missed that if it wasn't for God's help on that. So yes, God's hand definitely helped me do well on that exam.
Yeah, I like that you said that. Something that, I just thought it was cool that you came home and like you were able to reflect and say like, God helped me a lot with that. And you worked really hard for that test. So I'm glad that you were able to do well and have a good result from it.
When you work as if it all depends on you, and then you pray as if it all depends on God, that's when miracles happen.
Did you just make that up?
No.
Oh.
I forgot who said it, though.
I was like, that was good. I always, when Jake says stuff sometimes, I'm like, did you make that up? And like, sometimes he does, and sometimes he's like, no, I just don't remember who said it. Something that I was also reflecting on this week on my 5.5 hour trainer ride in my family room was our morning swim that Jake talked about. We like posted pictures on Lucy's Instagram. If you want to look at it, is it Lucy_the Scotty? It's Lucy like the Scotty or something. And we posted the pictures and everything, and we said, or we put it to the music of Finding Nemo, Dory singing, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Like, and she's encouraging Marlin in the movie just to keep going because Marlin's scared and he's overwhelmed. And I like was thinking about that on my trainer, and like the day I was on my trainer, I felt like for some reason everything was just going wrong. Like I went to the point where like I went to Whole Foods trying to find this Pepto-Bismol, and I'm like, you don't sell Pepto-Bismol? Like, you are a grocery store. I did not realize, you guys are probably laughing at me, that they only sell aloe vera of anything. And so, like, I went to, like, 4 stores. It was just to the point that I was, like, cherry on top with the bike breaking down. Like, and I just felt like, oh, why is everything just so hard right now? And, like, I reflected back on that song that we had put to Lucy's Instagram, and it like totally is true. You just have to like keep moving. Like even if you're just stagnant in the water, is at least if you're moving and you're treading water, you're not sinking. As soon as you stop, that's when you start sinking. As soon as you stop like trying to move forward and trying to make progress and trying to make things work and just stay positive, that's if you just stop what you're doing and become stagnant, you're sinking. And so I was like, okay, like I got this, like just one pedal in front of the other, like one thing at a time, one to-do list check at a time today. Like, and that's kind of what I mentioned earlier, is just like take action. And I don't know, I'm a very emotional person, as you guys, my whole podcast is about emotions and trying to master that. And for me, like, when I combust, and I really just try so hard to manage that and try to like control my emotions. So that was like something cool that I thought about, was just keep swimming. Like, and it's kind of a catchy song. I just really liked it. And that was something I was thinking about on my trainer.
Yeah, they put some cool music, little like chill vibe piano thing.
Yeah, it was like a
background.
remix or something.
I was digging it.
But it was sweet. But that was something I was thinking about, was just like keep putting one foot in front of the other. And like, even, like, everybody has bad days. Like, social media doesn't show that. Social media only shows people's, best foot forward, and people tend to only put their best foot forward because, A, they don't want to burden people with all of the negative things in their life, and B, they don't want people to look at them as weak, or it's very vulnerable when you're sharing the hard parts of your life. So why would people do that on social media? So, like, we had a friend today who just like had a really hard day, and like she's had a hard week, and just today like kind of how I felt on Saturday, just things were just not working out for her today, and everything just seemed to go wrong, and like just cherry on top after cherry on top after cherry on top. And I just kept thinking like, oh, like, just keep swimming, you got it. I know it feels like you're treading water, but just keep swimming, it'll get better. And so I think it's good to acknowledge that we all have like bad days, and it's okay to have a bad day. And like, yes, they freaking suck, but it's okay, and like everyone goes through them, like, and it's good to have like a good support system and friends and family to be able to reach out to. And I wish that we were a little bit more open on like social media and more willing to open up to friends. Like, I don't know, because it's just like people are always like apologizing for like being emotional, or if someone gets emotional around me, like they tend to say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, trust me, like I'm the last person you ever have to say sorry to about being emotional. Like I am so emotional as a person. And so I don't know, I feel like I wish it was a little bit more normalized to like be able to feel your emotions and be able to like work through them and process them without having to feel shameful doing it around other people.
Yeah, I think it depends on the emotions. Like anger, I think like a lot of times you shouldn't like lose your temper.
I do think that a lot of anger, yeah, I agree with not losing your temper, but I do think that like anger is often pent up emotion.
Yeah, I don't know.
But like I'm not talking about like losing your like road rage temper.
No, I know.
Like I'm talking about like
Just feeling.
just like having a crummy day, and it's okay to just cry a little bit. Like
Yeah.
it's okay, you don't have to be so stoic all the time and try to like, it's okay to just like be okay with not feeling okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like just don't brush it under the rug.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say. Yeah.
You agree?
Sure.
I'm more touchy-feely, I guess. That's okay. But yeah, that was our week, and today we went on a bike ride and I swam, and we'll just continue training. We're how many weeks out?
Like 7?
7 weeks out, yeah, from our Ironman. That's crazy. And we are so excited for it to be over. We've loved training so much, but it takes, like last week, I think I clocked out at like 22, 23 hours of training.
The full is just so much more training than the half, than for a half Ironman.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
It's definitely something
So
that's on
long.
our bucket list that we want to check off and like have fun doing, but I don't know if we're going to do it again.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, that was our week. We had lots of experiences, and we're excited for this next week. I feel like every week brings something new and fun and something to talk about on our podcast. So we publish these each week, every Tuesday, and they're live. We do them every weekend or often the day before, so they're like live with each week, but every Tuesday. So we will see you all next week.